Hi everyone, Darren Green here. Hope you're all well. Tonight I'm going to take you through a quick presentation. It's only 10 minutes long on the power of leverage, particularly financial leverage in property investment. So if you do have 10 minutes to spare, it's not a great amount of time and hopefully you can find it of some use. So we're going to cover three things. We're going to look at what's financial leverage. We're going to take a look at how you can use leverage in property. And finally, we're going to let you know what this means for you. So what is leverage? And we're looking at a fairly basic example here. So leverage is the investment strategy of using borrowed money, essentially debt, to try and increase the potential return of an investment. So an example of this could be a mortgage, particularly in property. You use buy-to-let mortgages, which typically have a 75% loan to value ratio applied to them, which means you have 75% worth of debt on that property, and you put in 25% as a by way of a cash investment to that. So you can see that potentially someone could look at that and say that's highly leveraged. You have 75% of the total value of a property wrapped up in debt, and you have 25% of equity. Okay, so that when you hear someone talking about being highly leveraged, it means there's more debt associated with that investment than there is equity. And a word of warning in terms of leveraging. So leveraging beyond an appropriate level of control is not advised, so it is likely to cause negative financial impact. And from a property point of view, we've seen this in 2008 with the last property crash, where a lot of mortgages have been handed out around 100%. So that was 100% leveraged. There was no equity in that whatsoever. So when that price of that property decreased, that left a lot of people over leveraged and subject to significant debt. So how can I use leverage in property? Well, we've already looked at the example of mortgages, using mortgages as a way of leveraging in property. And that's the example I'm going to take you through. So it is very simplistic, but again, this is just pitched to give you an idea of one way that you can leverage in property. So we're going to look at having an investment capital of £100,000 to invest in property, and we've got a couple of options. So our first option is just going out into the market with that £100,000 and just buying a property for £100,000. Now, for the purposes of this, we're not talking about getting it below market value or forcing any appreciation on the property. We're just looking at buying a £100,000 valued property outright, a buy and hold strategy. Okay. The other option that we can look at is buying four houses. Now you say, why? How am I buying four houses with that? So we're going to use 75% loan to value mortgages. We're going to invest that £100,000 equally across four properties. So £25,000 will be the deposit for each of those buy-to-let mortgages. Okay. Now, those of you that have seen my previous presentation, if not, go to our Facebook page and you can find it in the video section there. But you'll maybe notice this slide to look at how have house prices performed. So since 1952, the nationwide house price index has shown that on average, house prices have taken 9 years to double in value. Okay, the fastest period across that time was actually 3 years, and the slowest was 14 years. So again, like I did in a previous presentation, I'm going to assume worst case scenario and say that the slowest period in time, so it's going to take 14 years for those £100,000 valued properties to grow to 200,000. Okay. So we're going to look at this 14 years on, investment appraisal in 2031. So looking at option one, the initial investment was 100,000. The new house value is £200,000, we believe. And of course the equity, because we bought that property outright, we now have £200,000 worth of equity. And as a result of buying it outright, we have absolutely no mortgage costs in that whatsoever. So our investment return, excluding rental income, is £200,000. So let's have a look at option two. So buying 4 houses using 75% loan to value mortgages. So you can see the new house value is exactly the same. They're all £200,000. But because we've got 75% or 75,000, sorry, leveraged against each of those properties, we actually only have 125,000 of equity in there. And then similarly, because we've been paying a mortgage, an interest-only mortgage for 14 years, that actually equates to 63,000 for each property that we've bought. So if you add up all of the equity that you've got and you take off the mortgage costs, that brings you in at 248,000. So you can see, just by comparing option one and option two, I'd still want to go for option two. That's given me £48,000 more than option one. However, looking at rental income actually makes quite a big difference. So if you look at option one, an investment return, as we've said there, we've got £200,000 excluding rental income. And the estimated rental income at £500 per calendar month would be 84,000 across that 14-year period. Quite a lot of money. And the total investment return then is 284,000. And option two, this is where you can see the real power of leverage. So the investment return just on the house value alone and the equity that you had in there, you can see 248,000. But the estimated rental income, you now effectively have that for 4 properties. So again, assuming that we would have a tenant in there paying £500 per calendar month for those 14 years, we'd have 84,000 for every single one of those 4 properties, which means we would have 584,000 against 284,000 in option one. So that's £300,000 more from simply using buy-to-let mortgages as a leveraging tool. You can effectively double your money with the exact same amount of lump sum cash that you had to invest. So what does this mean for you? Well, hopefully we've shown you that using leverage in property investment can drive significantly higher returns. So obviously we've just touched upon one financial leveraging tool by way of buy-to-let mortgages, but obviously there's a whole host of other financial leveraging tools such as bridging loans, angel investment, credit cards, as well as a whole load of non-financial leveraging tools as well in property investment. But maybe we can pick that up at a separate session. Secondly, we're a business focused on property investment, so we can help you to invest in your own portfolio. So if you are interested in any way about investing in property, then you can get the details at the end of this presentation. Give us a phone, drop us an email. There is no charge. We are always happy to help. This is something we're passionate about. We see the value of it for our futures, particularly as we go into later life for our pensions. So if anyone's interested in that, pick up the phone, always happy to have a chat. And thirdly, I guess it explains why, or one of the main reasons why we can offer our investors much higher returns than other mainstream investment options. Okay, so I had a quick look on Money Supermarket last night, and you can see Virgin Money there had the most competitive interest rate in the market, a whopping 1.35%. Interest payable on your investment. Apologies for the sarcasm there. Pretty paltry, if you ask my opinion, and which effectively means if I've got you know, £100 sitting in there, I'm going to get £1.35 for every £100 I've got sitting in that sitting in that savings account. So not particularly competitive, especially when you look at the minimum that we offer our financial investors. So we've just had an investor um, come through for our latest property that we're purchasing. Should be hopefully going through and completing next week. And they are actually getting an 8% return on that, which is absolutely great. I don't think the interest rate of that sitting in the bank for the last couple of years was even 1%. So they're absolutely delighted that they'll be getting that return over the next 12 months. So again, if you're interested about making your money work a bit harder, there are a whole host of ways that you can invest your money. We are not um, regulated by the FCA. We're not financial advisors, so if you are looking to invest, I'd advise you to go to a financial advisor. But certainly, what we can offer as an investment option, um, certainly against cash ISAs, which is over 20 million people in the UK use them every year, then we certainly come up very competitive. So finally, to find out more about how Mila Homes can work for you, get in touch. My details are there. I'm Darren Green. You can also speak to my other half, Jill. Um, and yeah, whether it's something around you're looking to invest in property but don't know where to start, give us a phone. You know, there's certainly no charge from our point of view. We're always happy to help fellow investors as well. So hopefully you found that useful, and have a great weekend, and I'll speak to you all soon.